Hi everyone, this is Frank Demore and welcome to my YouTube channel. I invite you to go to my website, my prophecy site, which you can get there by going to www.bibleprophecyman.com. And once you're there, you'll see the front and the back cover of the book. Right below it is a link. You can click the link and you can download this book today for free. It's a documentary on Bible prophecy and current events. And it is filled with information showing that Jesus Christ's warnings about these last days are coming to pass, and most of the prophecies have already been completed, and there are some that have not been completed, but we're going into those prophecies fairly soon. And I present all of the documentation, evidence, and proof that you're going to ever need. Now today is March 25th of 2011. And what I'd like to do is center on a few of the prophecies. I'm going to start right off with the book of Luke in chapter 21 and verse 11. I want to read this. I'll start in verse 10. It says, "And they said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places," which means in many places, "and shall be in divers places, and famines, and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs from heaven there shall be from heaven." So we know that there's going to be famines. We know that there's going to be pestilence. And also when you look and read Revelation chapter 7, for example, in verse 16, it says this, and remember this, in this passage in the book of Revelation, it's at the time that the people are living in the tribulation period, and things that are happening, coming on this earth from God on an unrighteous people. And this is what it says in verse 16. "They shall hunger no more," meaning that they did hunger during this period of time, "neither thirst anymore," which means that something had to have happened to the water, because we know from the scripture that people are thirsting. And we know in part why that's going to take place. It goes on to say, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat." So we know that there's going to be definitely problems with the sun. It's going to scorch the earth. We see this in other scriptures as well. But it's going to cause famine, and it's going to cause havoc on the world during these last days. Now Luke points out that there's going to be famines and earthquakes and pestilence, diseases. And so what I'd like to show you, that these famines are already being generated, and as the years go by, these problems are expanding, and in parcel because we believe exactly what the Lord said, that it was going to be a warning as a birth pangs. Now all these signs are getting much more intense than they used to be, and in Mark 13:8 talks about these birth pangs getting worse in the last days. So what I'd like to do is to get right into it and start off today to show you what's been happening. And please keep in mind, what I'm showing you today is only a minuscule of what's taken place. Now when you get into my book, I give you all the details about what's been happening over the course of the year. So if you want detailed information, and a lot of it, to show you that Jesus' words are coming to pass, download my book today for free. There isn't any strings attached to it. It's a free ministry. I've done all the work for you. Now I'm going to put up this, and if you're at YouTube, you probably be able to freeze frame this. And as you can see, it says North Korea food strikes running dry, or stocks running dry, UN warns. It says North Korea government found distribution programs will run dry in May and put 1/4 of the country's 24 million people at risk of starvation, the UN News has warned, or the UN News has warned, United Nations. And so North Korea has been in dire problems. They've been facing famines. They've been facing starvation. They've asked for help before because they're running out of food. And this is only one of the nations that we see this happening to. Now, as far as droughts and famines, and scorching earth. And obviously, when the sun is out and it's scorching the crops, you have droughts. And we're seeing droughts in different places of the world. And I'm not going to give them all of them you today right here. There's no way I could do that. But I will point out some of the problems that are going on in the news as they pop up. Now here's another one. This just came out. I believe this was from yesterday. And it says, worst Texas drought in 44 years, damaging wheat crops, reducing cattle herds. It says this: the worst Texas drought in 44 years is damaging the state's wheat crop and forcing ranchers to reduce cattle herds as raising demands for U.S. food sends grain and meat prices higher. I'm going to stop right there for a second. I'm going to go to the word of the Lord, because that's where we need to go to when we're talking about signs of things to come. Now, in Revelation chapter 6, verse 6, it says this: and I heard the voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat, notice wheat, he's mentioning wheat, for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou that hurt not the oil and the wine. So what Jesus is showing us here is that in the last days, the people will be working all day long for a quart of wheat and 3 measures of barley. And that shows you that something had happened to the food worldwide, that people are working all day long just for maybe a half a loaf of bread. And so these things are occurring. They're getting worse now. And you see that, and this is only one of the articles that talks about drought and what it's doing to the crops. And I, in my book, I outline all the different places around the world that the wheat crops are being destroyed. So I find it very ironic that you're reading the exact same thing that the Lord shows us in Revelation 6:6, and this is only the beginning. These are the birth pangs. And when they get the people who go into the tribulation, those who refused to believe Jesus' warning and don't receive him as a Savior, when they get there, they're going to find out just what happens to the world's crops, because they're going down. And it's going to be a mess. But anyway, you see that it says, it talks about the wheat crops. Let me go on. It says, Texas, the biggest U.S. cattle producer and the second largest winter wheat grower, got just 4.7 inches, 12 centimeters of rain on an average in the last 5 months through February, the least for a record since 1967. Dry conditions extending to Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado may cut crops or crop yields in the U.S., the world's largest exporter, as too much moisture threatens fields in North Dakota and Canada. Wheat futures in Chicago are up 50% in the past year after drought in Russia and floods in Australia. Russia and Australia are 2 of the countries that produce a major portion of the food, the wheat, for the world. And they've taken a huge hit. And I'm telling you, what you're seeing here is the forerunner for Revelation 6:6. And the food scarcity is definitely underway. Now also in Luke 21 verse 11, he points out disease. And we know that, again, if you go to my book, I outline all the different diseases that are coming back that used to be eradicated, and now they're coming back again. And also the new diseases that are popping up, and all these super bugs that are now coming on the scene, and doctors are having much difficulty trying to eradicate them, and the antibiotics aren't even working on this. Now here's one that just came out. I'm going to put this up so that you could see it. Disease alert: new blood-sucking tick found in the UK. It says the Dermis Center, the reticulates tick. It's a weird name for a tick, but was discovered in southeast England and West Wales in a study of dog infestations, and scientists have warned that it may have brought new strains of disease with it. It says they are blaming climate change for driving the tick to these shores. Professor Richard Wall, head of the veterinarians parasitological group in Bristol University, which carried out the research, said, "This is an important study because the results suggest the risk of tick infestation is far higher in dogs than was previously thought. And this has seriously implications for the incidence of tick-borne disease. The study also confirms that non-native species of tick, which is also a major disease factor in Europe, is now established in South England." So we see that these weird diseases are being spread around to different places and are blaming global warming or these changes in the global climate. Now here's another one. Deadly antibiotic-resistant superbug spreads in northern or southern California. And if you go to my website, again, it's www.bibleprophecyman.com. And when you click to the link that I have there, you'll be able to see Dr. Besser's from ADC, and he's explaining, there's a video there, that he's explaining about this serious disease that can be deadly. And he's saying that at least 40% of the people who are getting this end up dying from it. It says an antibiotic-resistant superbug, once thought to be rare, is spreading through healthcare facilities in Southern California, health officials say. Roughly 350 cases of carbapenem-resistant, and I can't even go on, it looks like a 50-letter word, or what they short title for it is the CRKP, were reported in Los Angeles County between June and December of 2010, according to the study from the LA County Department of Health or Public Health, to be presented April 3rd in Dallas at an annual meeting of the Society of Healthcare Epidemiology of America. These patients tend to be elderly. They commonly on ventilators, and they often stay in a facility or extended period of time. So we see that there's a certain class of people that are more acceptable to this. And again, it's happening. These super bugs are here, and there's a whole list of these super bugs that have come out in these last days and that are coming up. Now, I list all of these super bugs that are coming out that the medical the doctors and the medical institutions are having great difficulty with trying to combat against these things. So take advantage, go to the link and read the entire story. Now we're going to move down to another prophecy. Again, this is the foreshadowing of the Psalm 83 war, and I want to give you some of the newest information that's happening in Israel that shows us that this Psalm war is about to take place in the very near future.